Welcome to the NCGA Skills Clinics. My name is Scott Adams. I'm the head golf professional here at Poppy Hills Golf Club in beautiful Pebble Beach, California. Today we're here to talk about short game, and it really is all about the short game. One of the most important elements in our game today, probably where we save more shots than anywhere else, and more specifically we're here to talk about chipping. We're going to specifically talk about a fly to roll ratio and give you guys 3 different golf clubs that allows you to hit 3 different golf shots with the same swing. Today, the fly to roll ratios are going to be a 3-to-1 ratio, a 2-to-1 ratio, and a 1-to-1 ratio, meaning that the ball will roll 3 times as far as it flies. The other club, it will roll twice as far as it flies, and then your sand wedge, your final and third club, it will roll equal distance, 1-to-1 ratio. So specifically, we're talking about the 3-to-1 ratio with an 8-iron, a pitching wedge, and a sand wedge. The 8-iron will be your 3-to-1 fly to roll ratio, your pitching wedge will be your 2-to-1, and your sand wedge will be your 1-to-1 equal distance fly and roll. We're going to talk about the setup and how we can use one golf swing to hit all these different golf shots, which will result in a better commitment to the golf shot, and will also just give you more consistency and better results around the green. What people probably don't realize is the better your short game is, the more stress it will take off your long game. Standing in the middle of the fairway, hitting a 7-iron into a back left pin with water on the left-hand side, it's a little easier to commit to the golf shot knowing that if you do miss the green and you do need to hit a chip, that you have a really rock-solid plan in place that's going to allow you to have some success around the greens and pick up the lost shot that you may have missed when you missed the green. So as we get into setup, it's going to be real basic. We're going to just use middle ball position for all 3 golf clubs. So everything is going to be in the middle of your stance. I'm demonstrating first with your 8-iron. And it's going to be just a general setup. Nothing real tricky about this. Is just your basic setup. Now, I want to address width and stance. Is when we're hitting these short chip shots, it is important that the stance is narrowed. We sort of have our heels a little bit more together, almost a little bit like a duck foot where you're going to have your feet flared out a little bit. The more narrow the stance, the easier it is for the body to work and just allow the arms to do majority of the swing. So as we set up today, you're going to notice that my feet are going to be relatively close together. The ball position will be located right in the middle of my stance. And as you see the shaft in relation to the golf ball, there is not a lot of lean forward. There's not a lot of lean backward. It's just going to be a very neutral position. As we grip the club, you're going to use your normal full swing grip. And the motion that we're going to implement today is a very basic motion. It's going to be very similar to how you would stroke a putt. You're going to use those muscles. There is no wrist hinge in this motion, and you're just going to try to brush the grass. The important part of this is obviously going to be clean contact. We want clean contact to get the true result, meaning clean contact will give us the 3-to-1 or the 2-to-1 or the 1-to-1 fly to roll ratio. So the important part about this is to get some reps in and start to practice this a little bit so you can get the clean contact and get the true result with the golf ball. Once you're able to do that, you will be able to accurately judge exactly how far the ball will roll. And we talked to a lot of students over the years, and a lot of people aren't sure where to land their ball on the green or how far it's going to roll. Sometimes they're going to hit it perfect and the ball spins and checks up and goes half the distance. Other times we hit the middle part of the golf ball, rolls all the way over the green, resulting in another chip. Maybe have to change your club. But again, if we can get you on the putting surface, the putts are typically more consistent and you have a higher success rate of making a putt than you do a chip. So the idea here is to have one shot to get you to the green and allow you to putt. It's going to save you some shots around your round of golf, around the greens, and just help your confidence. So as we set up again, narrow stance, my feet are a little flared out, normal golf grip, and neutral club position. Shaft position is relatively straight up and down. And the idea here is to use your big muscles, not the small muscles. So wrists, fingers, any of those kinds of things, we want to try to keep very quiet. You're going to notice as I make a practice swing here, it's a lot of shoulder motion, very limited lower body, and I'm just really keeping those wrists quiet. Not a lot of activity there at all, and my goal is to just brush that grass and make the same point of contact at each practice swing. As I do that, I'm also sort of practicing the length of motion that I'm going to need to hit the golf ball the appropriate distance. So as we go through this, and I set up, I'm going to make my practice swings. Once I feel comfortable with sort of our rehearsal swing, and I do stress rehearsal is a very important word, and we do want our students to do a rehearsal swing, which is a true live golf swing of about what you're about ready to apply to the golf shot. You see so many students get up there and just sort of make these random golf swings as they're kind of walking around looking at it. Rehearsal swing, true golf swing, is going to result in an 80% success rate versus no rehearsal swing. It's in the 40 to 50% success rate range. So anything we can do to help ourselves and give ourselves a better chance at success in golf, as we all know, difficult sport, is welcomed. So again, as I look at my target, I am mimicking what I believe is going to be the proper length of motion to create the right distance of golf shot. Now that I'm using my 8-iron, I do know that it's going to roll 3 times as far as it flies. So at that point, now my next task is to figure out where I need to land the golf ball in order to allow it to roll the 3 times further than it flies to get to my target. So knowing that if I've got a 30-yard shot, I need to land this at about 10 yards and let it roll the other 20 yards to the target. So as we set up, again, narrow stance, feet are flared out, I'm using more of my shoulders and more of a rocking motion and putting style motion. The best success I've seen students have with this concept is to really use your putting stroke. Because again, we're not trying to hinge the wrist, we're not trying to break the wrist a lot. We just want to make sweeping contact, pick the ball clean, get it to the surface, and let the ball roll and do its job. So as I set up again, I've now got my middle ball position, I've made my practice strokes, I know that this ball is going to roll 3 times further than it flies. I'm going to go ahead and make my shoulder stroke, my putting style stroke, and it's going to roll 3 times further than it flies. As we do that, you're just going to gain more confidence, more commitment to your golf shot. As we get more confidence and more commitment, the body relaxes. It allows us to actually execute at a higher success rate. Next club, it's going to be my pitching wedge. Pitching wedge is going to be a 2-to-1. It's going to roll twice as far as it flies. Same exact setup. Go through my practice routine. Knowing now that this ball will only roll twice as far as it flies, I now need to adjust my landing point to make sure that I give the ball the right carry distance to allow it to roll to the target. So now at this point, I'm going to hit this ball a little bit further. If I was hitting it 30% of the way with a 3-to-1, obviously now it's a little bit more than that, about a 40% fly. So as I look at my target, I make my brush strokes. Again, putting style stroke, very little wrist action. You're going to see a little more range of motion because I do need to hit the ball a little bit further and go for clean contact. And you're going to see that ball roll 2 times further than it flies. As I get into the sand wedge, again, setup is identical. We're not going to change anything. But now this is a 1-to-1. So I need to hit this ball halfway to the hole and it will roll halfway. So that, knowing that, I'm obviously going to need to make a longer motion, which you're going to see a little bit more length in my arms. But again, can't stress enough that the wrists stay very, very quiet. Again, very much like a putting motion, you won't see any break or hinge in my wrists. You're just going to see a rocky motion back and forth and trying to make that good contact, hit this ball halfway. And you're going to see that fly halfway to the ball hole and then roll the rest of the way. That, in the most basic sense, is your 3-2-1 chipping system.